Welcome, Gaurav. We are thrilled to have you in our podcast, which is on the early advantage. It is essentially for those people who are in the early stage of their career, ambitious professionals, navigating the first phase, and first phase is always the tougher one relatively. So, we would be seeking advice from you on how to decode the unwritten rules of the workplace and how to read between the lines because so many things go between theory and actually when they happen in practice. So, would love to learn from your experience on understanding that kind of feedback and navigating the office situations as you have done. Thank you for being with us. I hope you're doing well.
Yes, thank you, Pallavi. Equally excited to be here. And in fact, this is a subject which is close to my heart.
Yeah,
I would have loved this kind of guidance early on in my career, but happy to contribute now.
great. So, you have gone through an incredible journey yourself from starting as an analyst to becoming a high impact business leader at the moment. And you have gone through the changes in so many years with economy, with the world, it is shifting, with the industries, they are shifting. So, the first question I would have for you is that in this career path which you had, what was the one key lesson from your early days, which is what with mid-sized organizations that you still rely on, even in the high stakes roles which you have?
I would say one key lesson that would go a long way for any professional is the ability to learn to structure your thoughts. So it's quite easy to fall into a trap when you are overloaded with information or when you're dealing with a diverse set of knowledge of information and dealing with diverse set of people to be able to form a method inside of you where you use frameworks where you use different kinds of thought processes scenario building to be able to structure your thoughts. This helps you not only gain an advantage in your early years, but it really goes in a long way on your path to leadership. It really helps you in an ability to quickly build your own views, to build counter views, to build different scenarios, to articulate your thoughts really well. And this in turn helps you in aligning people who are around you. So I believe if you're able to really develop this ability early on in your career, it would take you a long way.
Great. Interestingly, you mentioned about intuitive and counterintuitive thought processes, and you have navigated through career pivots by moving around in the organizations and the industry. So, what is that mindset shift which enabled that successful transition from A organization to B, or the scale of the industries you were dealing with?
Here, in fact, in terms of mindset shift, I would like to point out to another trap that earlier professionals trying to commit to a persona. Oftentimes, when we take a look at the leaders within our organization or we take a look at successful leaders,
Hmm.
uh, they seem to carry a specific persona. They seem to carry a specific character that they project out. And professionals at a younger stage of their career, they believe this persona is something that they must carry or they must carry some sort of USP, which cannot be farther from the truth. The idea is you may build a persona, but let it be there only for a while. Let it be there for your current role. If you really wish to grow in your career, if you wish to transition into another role, if you wish to transition to broader responsibilities, don't commit to a specific persona. Don't commit to a specific line of thinking. Keep yourself open to always learn, to always change, to always actually move into another domain, because that is when opportunities open, and that is when you also your blind spot of not being able to spot new opportunities also opens up. So I think that's a mindset shift that I could recognize early on in my career, and I would say that really helped me in making very high impact pivots.
Yeah, because that kind of resilience comes along with adaptability, as you said, and don't get fixated. So that's true. So you talked about mindset shift, and if I ask the next thing on my structure, because you are a fan of structures, is that one non-negotiable habit? Because habit is putting that mindset into action. So, what is that non-negotiable habit you would recommend an early career professional, especially who are accelerating in a legacy business? You have been in the legacy businesses as well, and one of your current employers is
Right.
legacy business. So, how do you manage that? What is that habit which you would suggest?
I think one non-negotiable habit every professional, in fact, regardless of whether you're in early stage or a later stage or in a leadership position, is to always upgrade yourself, always upskill yourself, and
Hmm.
this applies both to legacy businesses as well as high growth, businesses. The idea is that legacy businesses they are quite vulnerable to changes in the market. And once you position yourselves there as somebody who's always learning and who's always upgrading themselves, who's always learning new technologies, such professionals would find them ahead of the curve as compared to others. And in fact, applies for new technologies also. Technologies are evolving and changing so rapidly today that what you've learned today may not be relevant tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I would say this is one non-negotiable. It's a habit which is harder to keep up with, but if you do, it would really put you at an advantage as compared to anybody else.
Yeah. And the world is always buzzing with AI. You hear the same term at least 10 times in a day, as we are,
Exactly.
whether it's your personal life or professional life. So, very rightly said. Gaurav, with that, I would next thing which I would like to understand from you is about relationships at workplace, building those trust or credibility we keep on talking about, or the visibility in the workplace. So, for someone who is just starting out, has been in the industry for 1 or 2 years, what would you say is the most effective micro action which they can take maybe next week or begin so that they can be considered a genuine professional connection? What would be that?
In fact, and this was quite a learning from my career as well. I would like to prescribe or would like to recommend some very specific actions that early stage career professionals can do that would really help them with not only visibility within their organization, but also building a quiet social capital within and outside the organization.
Hmm.
Uh, and this is actually a subset of a broader subject, which is networking. Maybe we'll cover that a bit later. But specific micro actions are to volunteer for projects within your organization. And trust me, people love it when somebody actually approaches them proactively and offer their help with different projects or with different work streams, regardless of whether you are 100% fit for any project or for any specific work stream. uh, do volunteer and do offer your help with certain projects. Not only people would appreciate it, you will also get to learn a lot,
Yeah.
and you will also diversify your knowledge base first within the organization, so your visibility will cut across different departments and different functions. And secondly, later on when you move further in your career to any other organizations or any other functions, you'll find that whatever you've done as a volunteer earlier, it comes in handy sometime or the other in future. Nothing goes to waste.
Yeah.
So I would say that's a very specific micro action that everybody can actually start right from tomorrow.
Yeah, well said, because that's making a reach out plus actually putting it in perspective and not only saying that we want to do it and think about it only. Okay.
Correct.
So another aspect which always gives jitters to people is feedback. When you get a text from your message that we want to, from your manager, for example, that I want to speak to you, to someone who just schedules one-on-ones, or the performance season is coming up. It's already in the first half of the first quarter of the year. So how do you approach receiving feedback, and what is your one tip for our listeners to handle critical feedback?
I think specifically in terms of feedback, a common mistake that most of us do is to first prepping ourselves mentally to seek feedback.
Hmm.
We as a society, as a society, is also not very good at seeking or giving feedback. we are not very straightforward in our communication as a society, as a culture. So,
Mm-hmm.
giving and receiving feedback becomes inherently challenging. So, the first step is to come through that mental roadblock and prepare yourself to receive any kind of feedback, to receive an honest feedback and not really uh, start reading between the lines or take it up on our ego. So, first step is that. And second step is to really have a guided way of feedback. Don't go out and seek a general feedback. Don't ask only for a generic or a general feedback like how am I doing, how have I done so far, can you tell me, my strengths or weaknesses that you've observed. Ask very pointed questions, because then you're putting the person in front of you in a position where you are guiding their thoughts, you are providing them a framework, and you seek very specific and pointed feedback. Otherwise, a general feedback and overarching feedback is hardly ever helpful. It can point you towards a general direction, but it will not give you any inputs regarding improving yourself in something specific. Seek feedback on a very specific action point of view, or seek feedback on a particular project that you may have executed for them. Seek feedback on a specific situation that you may have undergone with the person, on how did you tackle that situation, or what could you have done better in that specific situation. So be as specific as possible, and you'll find that you are actually receiving a very specific feedback. Specific feedback really helps us uh, in analyzing ourselves up close with a lens. General feedback really wouldn't help you in improving in the longer term.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes they are too broad a statement, which you wonder what does it mean. Universal truths doesn't help. It's specific and contextual. Very well said. So
Correct.
you are in a C-suite role right now, Gaurav. What is one habit one should be cultivating in reaching that stage of career? It seems very distant when you are maybe 1, 2, 3 years in your when you started maybe way back in 2010 or 9. It would have been sounded very distant that oh someone is in a CXO role. But what did you do, or how did it happen for you that you cultivated for you to grow to that stage? Any tips on that?
I think to reach that stage, one must, from a very early stage, have a vision to reach there. And when I say vision, a vision is a very broad statement. But when I say vision, the idea is to really visualize yourself and back work from there.
Hmm.
So if today you are, let's say, for example, a business analyst, maybe with 2 years of work experience, and you should envision yourself landing up a C-suite role, let's say 10 years from now. But then let that be the vision, but then start working backward from there. That if I have to reach there in 10 years, always have a timeline in your mind. Without timelines, targets don't really work. So keep a timeline. It could be 10 years, it could be 15 years, but then start back working from there. That if I have to reach there in 10 years, by year 9, I have to be this, by year 8, I have to be this. And to be able to do this, this is the skill set that I must cultivate. This is the skill set that I must build by then. This is the kind of networking that I must do. This is the kind of these are the kind of roles and responsibilities I must have executed by them.
Mm-hmm.
And keep repeating this exercise. Keep repeating this exercise at a certain frequency. It could be monthly, it could be quarterly, but you'll find yourself, once you've defined that career path for yourself. Of course, you'll it's not like you'll actually end up following exactly the same path, but it keeps you in tow. It keeps you guided, so that every quarter you can look back and see, oh, I was on my way to that career path. I have veered off a bit, and I can course correct now. So, envisioning that career path, 10 years hence, it would look very broad. But when you start back working, and by the time you reach year three, the specific action points, the immediate action points will become very clear. In my journey, for example, I started out as a business analyst right after my MBA. But I always wanted to land a leadership role, specifically within strategy, from quite early on. That was sort of an ambition. And and in fact, exactly 10 years later, I could land a role as a chief strategy officer.
Yeah.
However, between these 10 years, I knew that, I want to reach there in 10 years from then, from 2009. Uh, so I did this exercise quite periodically. I did this exercise at a certain frequency, and I kept committed to it. I kept looking out at opportunities that would take me there. I made certain pivots in between, which I knew would take me closer to that goal, like moving in from a business analyst role at a research and analysis company to to an automotive company in an executive assistant role, for example, which I knew would take me closer to a generalist role, which would enable me to shadow the managing director of a large enterprise, and then eventually that took me to that path. So there will of course be hiccups, there'll of course be pivots you'll need to make, but if you commit to that line of thought, it'll certainly take you there.
Yeah. As you said in the beginning, I think that structure has to be there for anything you want to achieve in your career. And of course, having that kind of flexibility to course correct and moving around. So, thank you for sharing that, Gaurav. And you have been around for a while. Any incident, any impression which you have in so many years, which still from your early career, I would say, which is still there with you, which still stayed with you, if you would like to share any of those situations which you have been through in the first stage of your career.
So, quite a few incidents in the early stage of my career, but I think if I had to quote one, uh, it could be during very early on in my career when I just started out, and I faced a huge black swan event, which was the 2009 financial crisis, global
Yeah.
financial crisis, which was triggered by the subprime crisis in the US. So around that time, whatever vision boards or anything that I made or my peers made at that point of time, all those plans were thrown to the wind, and you actually really did not know, what would be one's next career move, or when if one would keep their jobs or not. So it was a period of very high certainty, very high volatility, and specifically for early stage career professionals, uh, that really throws off all your plans because you've worked towards something all your life, and you finish your education, maybe you start working, and then suddenly all your plans are thrown off to the wind. So, but one thing I think that I learned from there is that persistence and perseverance towards your larger vision should be kept,
Mm.
because black swan events sometimes it takes 6 months for them to normalize and neutralize, and maybe something like COVID takes a couple of years.
Yeah.
But eventually, the world tends to move towards normalcy. And if you keep committed to your vision, if you keep committed to your career path, to your envisioned career path, you will eventually find that by not taking any rash decisions or by even lying low in that period of turbulence, you'll emerge relatively unscathed on the other side of that turbulence.
Mm.
So there'll be, and in fact, this generation has seen more maybe black swan events more frequently than any other, including COVID and financial crisis and whatnot, and we'll probably witness more. So during make yourself mentally resilient for such periods. Make your skill set more resilient for such periods. Work towards acquiring a skill set. Maybe it could be a subset of your broader skill sets, which could be used in period of turbulences. Basically, make yourself more immune to outside forces, make yourself more immune to market forces, and you'll find that you're able to sail through periods of difficulty rather more smoothly than others.
Rightly said. With that, we will move to the next and last section of our Connect for the day. And this is more of Freudian, I would say, the game of free association. And I'll just ask you one question. You can respond whatever comes top of your mind. Are we good to go?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So, what is one productivity hack you swear by?
One productivity hack, I would say it's breaking down your overall goal into micro goals. Don't chase the bigger goal, just chase micro goals.
So, what is your go-to strategy for dealing with stress or overwhelming in situations at work?
Take more frequent breaks, and also take a look at the larger picture. Just know that not everything is the end of the world. There will, of course, there may be some end of the world situation sometime, but
Yeah.
this is not the one.
Okay. What is one best career advice you have ignored or regretted that you ignored at that time?
Which I would say this would be networking. There was a lot of career advice around starting networking early on in your career, and I always thought networking is all about going to fancy events and attending cocktail dinners and post-event networking events, which cannot be further from the truth. Networking is all about giving. Networking is all about your silent acts of support, your quiet acts of supporting others, volunteering to help others. Networking is all about giving. And later on in your career, when I actually started doing it, I found I started and I ignored it early on in my career, and I would say, I regretted it. But when I started doing it, and when I started doing it the right way, like a mentor suggested to me, by not really looking at taking from people, just giving them, I found that in my difficult periods, I had so many supporters who just stood up without even any call to support me. So that really helped a lot. Yeah.
That's great. Any book or podcast which you have recently gone through and helped you level up?
In terms of books or podcasts, I would say one book that I would recommend, maybe also early stage career professionals also, is Lee Iacocca's biography. Uh, there are a lot of life learnings there, a lot of career based learnings there that are the I would say you know are learnings to swear by. So yeah.
Thank you. And last but not the least, but what is one word to describe the secret sauce for for an early career success?
I wouldn't say it's not hard work. It's smart work. It's thinking in frameworks. Yeah, that's it. If you do that, you're just halfway through.
Great. Thank you so much, Gaurav, for sharing your journey with us. We, if someone wants to reach out to you through LinkedIn or other platforms, I hope that's okay with you.
That's more than welcome. I'd be happy to connect with any professionals who seek my help.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Thank you, Pallavi. Thank you so much. Have a great day.